Mr. President, since you left office, there have been a number of books that have come out, deeply sourced from Democratic sources, that claim in your final year there was a dramatic decline in your cognitive abilities. In the final year of your presidency, what is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that, number one. Number two, think of what we were left with. We were left with a circumstance where we had an insurrection when I started, not since the Civil War. We had a circumstance where we were in a position that the pandemic, because of the incompetence of the last outfit, end up over 1 million people dying, And we're also in a situation where we found ourselves unable to deal with a lot of just basic issues, and which I won't go into in the interest of time. And so we went to work, and we got it done. And one of the things and
Alyssa, one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us, and they didn't see how hard Joe worked every single day. I mean, he'd get up, he'd put in a full day, and then at night I'd be in bed, reading my book, and he was still on the phone, reading his briefings, working with staff. I mean, it was nonstop. It's the White House, being president is not like a job. It's a lifestyle. It's a life that you live. You live it 24 hours a day. That phone can ring at 11 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning. It's constant. You never leave it. And Joe worked really hard. I think he was a great president. And if you look at things today, give me Joe Biden anytime.
That's worth the invitation to come to the show.
Boy. So we gotta talk about Joe Biden, the gift that keeps on giving for the Republicans, okay? Because the more that Joe Biden talks, the better it is for President Trump and for the Republicans, and the worse that it is for the Democrat Party, a party that is currently in free fall, and Joe Biden is not helping them out, okay? Because Joe Biden is now talking, he's doing interviews, and he's saying things that are a reminder of the last 4 years of gaslighting by the Democrat Party, which I think is one of the primary reasons why they lost to Trump. The lies were just so outrageous. These people, including the Vice President of the United States, tried to convince the American people that Joe Biden is mentally capable of being the president of the United States and that there's nothing wrong with him, even after the debate in which Joe Biden embarrassed himself on the world stage for everybody to see. Kamala still chose to gaslight America on this man's mental fitness.
And I know that Joe Biden is not on the ballot. I understand that. But the reason that you are at the top of the ticket is because he dropped out of this race. And so I want to ask you, and it was largely because of that debate performance back in June. You defended him in the days before and in the days after as you were campaigning for another 4 years for President Biden. Can you say that you were honest with the American people about what you saw in those moments with President Biden as you were with him again and again, repeatedly in that time?
Of course. Joe Biden is an extremely accomplished, experienced, and capable in every way that anyone would want if they're president.
And you never saw anything like what happened at the debate night behind closed doors with him?
It was a bad debate. People have bad debates. He is absolutely.
But that's the reason why you're here, and he's not running for the top of the ticket.
Well, you'd have to ask him if that's the only reason why.
It's a judgment question. That's why I ask. Can the American people trust you in these moments, even when it's maybe uncomfortable for Americans to level with Americans in that way? So that's why I ask. And it sounds like what you're saying is you feel like you never saw anything like that from President Biden.
I speak with not only sincerity, but with a real firsthand account of watching him do this work. I have no reluctance in saying that.
Yeah, so as you can see there, Kamala Harris defending the indefensible, okay? And to be honest with you, Kamala Harris, I gotta say, she has been pretty good about not throwing Joe Biden under the bus, because the easy thing for her to do would have been to throw Joe Biden under the bus. If she had threw Joe Biden under the bus, she may or may not have had a better chance. She would have lost anyways, to be honest with you, but she may have done a little bit better, okay, had she actually came out and admitted the truth about the disaster that the Biden-Harris administration was, right? I mean, that was a part of the gaslighting, lying to the American people about everything. The border, the economy, crime, Biden's mental fitness for office, okay? That is what Democrats embraced, right? That in woke politics. So with that being said, Kamala Harris defending Joe Biden is the reason why I'm not surprised that Joe Biden went on The View, and when confronted about Kamala Harris losing, he decided that he would not tell the truth about Kamala Harris, which is that she's a bad candidate, in the same way that Kamala did not tell the truth about Joe Biden, which is that, yes, he was cognitively declining. Biden is going to claim that Kamala lost because of sexism and racism, right? This is what he had to say on The View, and I want to talk about it, but before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Morgan & Morgan. Life can change in an instant. One moment you're fine, the next, well, everything is different. You're left with questions, with pain, with the feeling that you've been wrong, and the system, well, it feels like it is built against you. This is why you need somebody that's on your side, somebody that understands, somebody that will fight for you. At Morgan & Morgan, they're not just lawyers, they're advocates. They're here to give you a voice when yours feels lost. They've recovered billions for people just like you. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, takes on all types of injury cases, from car accidents to medical malpractice. They fight for your rights and the compensation that you deserve if you become their client, so that you can focus on healing. They've achieved significant verdicts over the past few months for the victims involved in life-altering car crashes, like out in Florida, a $12 million verdict, which was over 34 times the highest insurance offer. And they work on a contingency fee basis, which means that you don't pay unless you win. It's really that simple, to be honest with you. So you can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/blackconservative, which will be in the description below, right? The link will be in the description below, or you can scan the QR code on the screen with your phone's camera.
But then election night came, and it was like 2016 all over again. Yeah. So why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president. She is. She's qualified to be president of the United States of America. Right. But I was surprised. I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is a woman, she's this, she's that. I mean, it really, I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country, and a woman of mixed race. Yeah. And they played that to a fairly well. In addition to that, one of the things happened, if you notice, and I'm going to be shorter, okay, I promise. Okay. She said, "Don't be Joe Biden, be short."
I said that to him.
Anyway, make a long story short, all kidding aside, think about it. Liberal democracies all across America, all across the world lost last time. Yeah. All across America. I think we underestimate the phenomenal negative impact that COVID had and the pandemic had on people, on attitudes, on optimism, on a whole range of things. So I was very disappointed, but I wasn't surprised. The only thing that surprised me is the excess to which they've gone in some of the attacks they've made.
Yeah. Well, when was the last time you spoke with the vice president, and has she talked to you about what she wants to do next? Sought any advice? Maybe governor? Yesterday,
I talk to her frequently. We stay in touch, number one. Number two, she's sought my opinion. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
What to wear to the Met Gala.
That's exactly right. No, but all kidding aside, she's got a difficult decision to make about what she's going to do. Yeah. I hope she stays fully engaged. I think she's first rate. But we have a lot of really good candidates as well. So I'm optimistic. I'm not pessimistic about the future. Good.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, Joe Biden claims that Kamala Harris lost because of racism and sexism. And also he mentioned COVID as well, too. Let's touch on COVID real quick, right? It is the fault of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris that we had the massive inflation that we had. Okay, I mean, they decided it would be a good idea to pour trillions of dollars into an economy that was already going to be very good in 2021, while at the same time maintaining the lockdowns, right? So essentially, Democrats' policies are responsible for demand stimulus and for the supply shortage, okay? Because again, the lockdowns contributed to the supply shortage, okay? And the stimulus contributed to the excess demand. And because of that, that is why we had the massive inflation. So it is the fault of your policies, Joe Biden. Okay, take some responsibility. Now, when it comes to Kamala Harris, I understand why Joe Biden is refusing to throw Kamala Harris under the bus and to tell the truth about why she lost, which is that she wasn't a very good candidate. She could not convince the American people that she wasn't a radical progressive pretending to be a moderate. She did not take any responsibility or accountability for the failures of the Biden administration, which Biden, as you see there, not taking any accountability or responsibility for the failures of his administration. So basically 2 peas in a pod there, right, when it comes to avoiding accountability and responsibility. So I kind of understand exactly why Joe Biden is refusing to really tell the truth and to criticize Kamala Harris in regards to why she lost. But he did not have to come out here and to play the race and the sexist card. I mean, really, Joe? Really? Is this what you're doing? Is this who you have become, Joe Biden? Is this who you are, Joseph? Because I believe the most shameful part about what Joe Biden said is the fact that Joe Biden didn't used to be this way, right? He didn't used to be the woke clown that he is right now. He didn't used to be this. Joe Biden sold his soul for the Democrat Party. That's what I'm disappointed in. When I think about Joe Biden, I think about this clip. I think about Joe Biden's legacy. I think about who he used to be versus who he is right now. Let's put out a reminder, right, in regards to who Joe Biden used to be.
The president used his radio address yesterday and tomorrow in the Rose Garden to talk about a constitutional amendment to ban gay marriage.
You know, think about this. The world's going to Hades in a handbasket. We are desperately concerned about the circumstance relating to avian flu. We don't have enough vaccines. We don't have enough police officers. And we're going to debate the next 3 weeks, I'm told, gay marriage, a flag amendment, and God only knows what else. I can't believe the American people can't see through this. We already have a law, the Defense of Marriage Act, where we've all voted, not where I voted and others said, look, marriage is between a man and a woman, and states must respect that. Nobody's violated that law. There's been no challenge to that law. Why do we need a constitutional amendment? Marriage is between a man and a woman. What's the game going on here?
Take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will. or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now.
Senator, as you know, there's an approximate 12 million undocumented immigrants in the United States, many or most of whom lack health insurance. First, does your plan for universal coverage include them? And if not, how do you propose that you pay for their care when they interact with the healthcare system?
No, in truth, it does not. It does not cover it. So no undocumented alien would be qualified for what I proposed here, any of what I proposed here.
It makes sense that no great nation can be in a position where they can't control their borders. It matters how you control your borders, not just for immigration, but it matters for drugs, terror, a whole range of other things. Here's the conclusion I come up with, and it's sort of in equal parts. We have to, and I had been arguing for, when I'm back in my days as chairman of the Judiciary Committee and straight through as the leader of the Foreign Relations Committee, I've been arguing for the need to put more protection at our borders.
My question is, what happened to that guy? What happened to that guy? Because the guy that Joe Biden is today is not that guy.
I would argue it's unlike any other large country in the world. So there's a second thing in that black box, an unrelenting stream of immigration, nonstop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength. And so we haven't always gotten it right. Man, I remember he was dropping me off. I wanted to work in the projects as a lifeguard on the east side of Wilmington. And he was dropping me off on his way to work at the city hall to go get an application to be a lifeguard there. And as I got out of the car at the four corners of the center of town, two men, turns out one going to the Brandywine, one was at work for the DuPont company, the other worked for Hercules Company. This was back when I was a kid. And they leaned up and kissed one another. And I'd never seen that before. And I turned and looked at my dad, and he just looked at me and said, "Joey, it's simple. It's simple, Joey. They love one another. It's a simple proposition."
Yeah, so apparently Joe Biden went from being for gay marriage back in the 1950s, 1960s to being against gay marriage when he became a politician. And now, with the current version, the wokeification of the Democrat Party, he is now pro-gay marriage again, right? That seems to be Joe Biden's evolution, right? Quite strange. Except when you understand the fact that politicians like Joe Biden, they are political animals, right? In the sense that they will do or say anything for political power, okay? And that is the type of politician that Joe Biden apparently has been his whole career.
This is why I go back and say the Democratic parties, Joe Biden never should have been there in the first place, right? Number one, he shouldn't have run for president. I completely got so angry at Joe Biden, the man, when I read the transcript of the Hunter Biden trial. And when I realized that not one, not two, but three Biden children, and I count Bo's widow, were all dealing with drug problems in 2018. And Joe Biden said, now's a perfect time to run for president because who cares about our family? I have to tell you something about Joe Biden. There's this mythology about Joe Biden that the man cared so much. It's all bullshit. This man supposedly cared so much about his family that he commuted every day. Guess what? This man cared so much about his political career that he commuted every day, right? Like I could take the same fact and it created a myth, and he did it for 40 years, God bless him, that he was this incredible family man. And instead, what he really was a craven political animal that it was desperate. The man considered or ran for president every 4 years he was eligible. You know why he didn't run in 76? He wasn't 35 yet. That's the only reason.
So this guy will say anything, he will do anything in order to accumulate political power, right? That's the type of guy he's been his whole career. Because again, I can't explain how is it that Joe Biden went from being based to what he is right now, right? Which is pathetic, right? He's pathetic right now. Okay, I mean, basically saying that Kamala Harris lost because of sexism and racism. Like, come on, bro. You know that's not true. You know that's not true. You know she sucks, right? You know that because there were rumors that you were trying not to drop out because you didn't think Kamala could win. You didn't think Kamala could win, Joe. So now don't sit and try to tell me that she's so amazing and that the only reason that she lost is because the country's full of bigots. Like, come on, Joe. You're smarter than that. You may have lost your mind, but I think you understand. You know why she lost, right? She lost because she's not good. She's not good. You picked her because she was black and she was a woman. You told her she is a DEI hire, right? You told us, you told the world that she was a DEI hire. You hired her because she is a black woman, right? Allegedly, okay? Allegedly black. She's really Indian, but allegedly black. But when I think about Joe Biden's legacy, I think more about the man that he used to be, right? And what he is now, and how the Democrat Party requires you to sell your soul in order to remain relevant in that party, right? I mean, straight up, that's what they require you to do. That's how much the Democrat Party has progressed off of a cliff. All you got to do is just pay attention to the evolution of Joe Biden. And it really is a damn shame who he has become. He has become a disgrace. He's going to go down as one of the worst presidents in American history, if not the worst president in American history when it's all said and done. I don't know. But he's definitely not going to be somebody that is talked about or remembered 15, 20, 50, 100 years from now. But President Trump will, right? President Trump will. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be forgotten about, okay? President Trump is going to be somebody that we continue to talk about even a century, okay, into the future. And again, that is Joe Biden's legacy at this point. And what you see there, right? What he's saying on The View is part of the reason why his legacy ended up what it is, right? Which is a disgrace. And that's what happens when you stay in politics for too long, okay? Joe Biden should have retired a long time ago. And because he chose to continue to stay, this is what he has become, right? He's become a complete and total embarrassment to this country. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.